All right, y'all, Rickey Smiley Morning Show at a time, and that's 24 minutes after the hour. Y'all, listen, we got the one and only Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. The segment is being brought to you by Optima Tax Relief. Stop living in fear of the IRS and stop lying awake. Worried about the IRS garnishing your wages and freezing your bank accounts. Call Optima Tax Relief, 800-829-3181. That's 800-829-3181. On the phone, we got the one and only, one of the most powerful congresswomen in the United States of America. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is a strong voice in America, in America and in Washington, D.C., dedicated to social justice and equal rights. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Texas State Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. Good morning.
Feeling good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Congresswoman. I'm so happy you came on this morning, and thank you for everything you did for me and all of the phone calls, and just I really appreciate you in my time of need. I'll never forget it. Thank you.
As they say, we are our brothers and sisters keeper. My pleasure. Wishing you well. Excited about being on this morning. Just had just a little bit of news of something a little different from what I do, but, I've been promoting Gospel Music Heritage Month. It ended yesterday, September 30th, and COVID-19, is just getting in the way of everything. But guess what? We had our Gospel Music Heritage celebration virtually, and we had Dr. Bobby Jones, Yolanda Adams, Michael Dixon, Kathy Taylor, and we just had a good time virtually. We just wasn't going to let COVID-19 beat out acknowledging how important gospel music is to America. So I just wanted to say that so I could thank them all publicly, and a lot of those names. So I just wanted to give them a thanks out, and you are so kind to let me do that. But, we're in some troubling times, and I wanted to be on this morning to help our folk out, to get out of these troubling times.
Right. And the 2020 census deadline is upon us, and there's been a lot of confusion about the dates. Now, the deadline to respond was extended to October the 31st and then moved up to September the 30th. Now, on Monday, we learned the new deadline has been moved up again to October the 5th. What's going on with that?
Well, let me just say this. The main point I want to say this morning is do your census, do your census. What's going on with that, Rickey, is that we have a conflict with the leadership in the White House and what should be done for the best interest of the American people. The best interest of the American people and your listeners is to fill that census out. It's less than 10 questions. And yes, we had gotten a court order because the White House was wrong. They don't want people of color to be counted. And whenever somebody doesn't want me to do something, as long as it is not illegal, I'm going to do it because I know that it's for my best interest. Let me tell you, we are actually getting resources for our children based upon the 2010 census. If you do not fill the census out in 2020, you will be losing. Texas, for example, if 1% undercount, we'll lose $292 million in 1 year alone. And that's just Texas. Imagine that in every one of your states that hears the great Rickey Smiley show. And I know you all hear it. You're going to lose Head Start, Medicaid, Community Development Block Grants, supplemental nutrition programs. You're going to lose $800 billion. So right now, there is a fight. I believe the court is right, but the administration is appealing. And so your deadline now, hear me out, October 5th. I'm going to say it again, October 5th, October 5th. That means you have a few days. Today is October 1st until October 5th to get those numbers up. Because the fear is that if you lived in a state like Texas, $3 trillion. If you lived in Illinois, it could be trillions of dollars. California, Mississippi, lived in Florida, lived in Georgia, lived in New York, lived across the nation. You will lose at least $1 trillion for most states and more if you do not fill out the census.
Wow.
That's how bad it is.
Excuse me, Congresswoman. These population counts, they're used to determine each state's share of seats in the House of Representatives. So for those who have never filled out a census, can you explain how this affects them directly?
Oh, thank you so very much. And good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Folks, I know some of you just have to read it in the history books how people had to walk and people died under the leadership of Dr. King and my beloved brother, John Robert Lewis, Hosea Williams, and many others. They fought so that we could vote. People don't realize that before 1965, there was a smidgen of black folk registered to vote in the Deep South. The census is part of the count that goes along with the vote. So count that, census and vote. Better vote in November, vote in October, whenever you can vote. But the numbers of people in your community directly impact on whether or not you get a congressional representative of your the way they draw the lines. If they see the census says there's 10 people in your community and you've got 50, they're going to count you as 10, and you're going to have a least amount of time or a lessened amount of time to get a state representative, a city council member, a county commissioner, a school board member, and yes, a member of the United States Congress. You are absolutely right. The census, which everybody is looking at, and if they undercount and they want to calculate it or estimate it, you can be assured that they won't be estimating up, they'll estimate down. I can't tell you how important it is to be counted, to fill that census out. It impacts so much. And let me just say this, people of faith, people of color, people who are distinctive and different, let me tell you, the least attention is given to your communities.
Wow.
Please realize how important the census is. And the census is your vote of power. Now, your vote is your power, but the census gives you the right to be able to push that power around and demand the resources in your community.
Wow.
So, Congresswoman, now the census has always been non-political, so why has it recently become a political issue?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know I'm going to have to throw this in. I guess it's the same answer for someone who can't acknowledge white supremacy.
Right.
It's a terrible status that we are presently under. It's a terrible state of conditions and conflictions that we're under right now. The status that we're under now is that we have an administration that wants to deny our president. And so we've never had any political engagement, whether there's been a Republican or Democratic president. But if you have someone that grapples with the question of white supremacy, systemic racism, and institutional racism, and could not offer a moment of sympathy to those mothers and fathers who lost their children, like Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and various individuals, the family of George Floyd and beyond, and someone who over a period of years could not denounce white supremacy, then you know that if the census is going to count the wonderful rainbow, the wonderful mosaic, the wonderful multicultural nation, then you know that it is absolutely a question of justice. And that's what it is. It is an injustice. And I would think that your listeners, because I know what kind of fighting, important leaders that you have listening to you, moms and dads, people who get up and work, first responders, essential workers, people out on the front line with COVID-19. And yes, I know some have listened who have lost loved ones, and my deepest sympathy. Then they need to know that the tools they have in their toolkit right now is to fill out that census before October 5th. Do it now all over the nation, all over the state. And then they've got to get out there and vote and make a difference, because the nation's future is in our hands. It's a life or death matter. No longer significant or historic. It is a life or death matter. So the politics of it is that this is an administration that wants to keep the numbers down. It'll keep it down, and that means there'll be less representatives coming from places that are diverse. It'll be less money going out to the needs of communities who want to see their education opportunities improved. And this means from pre-K to college, to plan to support community colleges and state colleges and historically black colleges. How about that? All of those dollars go to those things that we love and cherish.
So, Rep. Lee, Jackson Lee, I'm sorry. If people did receive a paper census form, where can they go to check eligibility and get it completed before this deadline of October the 5th?
I'm glad you asked that question. Census offices are still open in your communities. You can just look that up on Google or look it up online, but you can actually pull down a census form right now. And again, as I said, there are less than 10 questions. I beg of you to get a friend, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle to help out elders and to help out yourself. So you can go right online and do it from the comfort of your home, comfort of your phone. But the main thing is for you to make sure that you get it. Our numbers are down across the nation. In particular, in Texas, they're down in the fourth largest city in the nation, down around 60%. In Houston, I know they're down in other cities across the nation. I want everybody that's listening to check, if you will, to check to see if you have filled out your census. You may have forgotten. We've been talking about it for such a long time. You'll be able to know when you pull it down with your name that you have, yes, filled out the census. So you can get it online, or you can check your local census office, or you can check with your local elected official, whoever is friendly, whoever you think, could be a school board member, whoever you think that you are familiar with, you can check. Check with your pastor. They have information as well. And let me just say this. All of this has to do with the dignity of your person. All of this has to do with you being treated with human decency versus human indecency. I don't know about you, but I'm going to get counted twice. I'm going to get counted in the census. I'm going to get counted as I vote legally, mail ballot, early vote, and or on November 3rd. And the reason is because I can't have the leader of this nation attacking a young woman that I know, Ilhan Omar, in our own state, serving her people, just because she happened to have been a refugee. And
right.
I've spoken to her about being a refugee. If you haven't had that experience, if you don't know what it's like to be a child, being in a place and being stateless and unable to know where your next step is going to be, then you need to not be speaking about a sister, a person who is working for her constituency. As a black woman, I'm saying enough is enough. And all of us need to get out and vote.
Now, what is the best way for everybody to follow you? How can we follow you on social media and, and all of the moves that you're making in Washington?
You are absolutely right. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, and you can look me up. We are public, and you can find us, and we are active, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, Congresswoman, I'm about to tweet you right now. I'm going to be looking to see if you're going to tweet me back now.
I'm going to do that. And you know what? There's still time to come on because I want to be able to talk about H.R. 40 and let everybody understand that, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals, because I need you to push your congressperson to get on H.R. 40 so that bill can pass out of the House of Representatives, and I know you can do it. So if y'all keep saying H.R. 40, but as we do that, let me make sure that you fill out that census. And I believe that we will do great things together if we make sure that everyone is counted, because the baby in the house can't fill it out. But you can let us know there's a baby in the house, a new baby, no matter how old you are. That baby should be counted, and you should be counted no matter what your status is, your immigrant status. This is a count of human beings in the United States. Get yourself counted.
And ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up for United States House of Representatives, Houston's own Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Thank you so much for coming.